My name is MitchF. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to process a deer head. So if you look in front of you, you have deer head. Santa Sleigh is going to be a little bit sluggish this next year. It's missing a few. I'm going to call my buddy Garrett up here to give me a hand. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you guys through these steps. Garrett's going to be my dummy. Cool. He's not a dummy though, don't talk to him like that. He's a good guy. So, we'll go ahead and get started. You're going to want to take the deer head that you have in front of you. If one partner wants to hold it and the other can use the scissors to do the cutting. You're going to have one person hold the skull upright and facing away from you. And the way we're going to start is this black plastic that we have on top of the deer skulls is simulating what would be their skin and or meat. It's not really an easy thing to simulate, so this is where we went. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to use your scissors to make a small incision just forward of the antlers in the middle. No. So if you so basically punch a hole through.
I got some tools, so they're make sure
and be careful. These are scissors, but I've seen people hurt themselves with less things. If you want, you can just pinch the plastic and then snip it.
He's got his scissors inside, so.
So once you guys have got that initial slit open, what we're going to do is cut directly down the front, essentially like you're going right down the middle of the face, and clear all the way out through the end. One thing I'm going to go ahead and repeat, or not repeat, I'll repeat it again as we go throughout, is be extremely careful. These are delicate, and they do have some sentimental value. So once you have cut down through the end to where it's open like such, you should be able to see the nostrils and like the nasal cavity. What you're going to do next is turn it on the side, and I basically want you guys to insert your scissors in this opening, and you're going to cut down the side adjacent to the teeth. So what we would be doing right now is removing as much of the fur and flesh as possible so that when we get to the next steps, it pretty much just makes everything easier throughout. Yeah. So you just clean through. Good. And then repeat on the other side once you've done it to one side. So insert right here, and you're just going to cut down through here. And so you'll see once you've done that on both sides, it kind of makes the plastic fall off to a degree, which is what we would want. So let me know when you guys have gotten through that portion. Face flaps. And so the whole reason we would be doing this is for one of two reasons, basically. Either for taxidermy, for decorations, or to, you can use it to look at the skulls to try and figure out any health issues deer might have. I personally have been doing this for about 5 years now. I think I did 19 this past deer season. And you get to see a lot of cool things, different features in skulls, deers that have had injuries and fractures that have regrown and different types of things. And so basically you'd be doing it for anatomy purposes. So once we've cut through the sides, what we're going to do is we're going to turn this skull back on its side again, and I want you guys to go ahead and snip this string on either side, and then cut across the middle where you started your original incision. Good. Nope, so flip the other side. Snip this one. Good. And then cut across the middle between the horns. Good, so you already see the string? And then just cut across right there.
I got a little hat on. A little hat on. Right?
Yes.
I figured I just.
Sorry about that.
Where am I supposed to?
Here, they can use this one. Let's use mine.
Here.
Okay, yeah.
And so what we would have just done is we would have removed all of the facial fur from this animal. The sides that we just cut up is simulating removing the sides of the lips where they connect to the jaws. And when we start this process, the bottom jaw is disconnected as it is, as you guys see it. So once we've done that, if you guys look, it's not on this one because this skull just happens to not work. And y'all's is a little bit easier because y'all had bad scissors. But if you turn and you look inside of the eye sockets, you should see a little piece of string that goes through the skull on either sides. So y'all's you can just pull out. So the knot's on this side and pull it through this way because I didn't think those scissors would cut through that. So what we're simulating when we're doing that, if y'all want to go ahead and do that, is we would be disconnecting the portion of flesh, essentially muscle, that connects the eyeballs to the brain, because we want to get those eyeballs out of there. That's one, it's just extra stuff to remove later, and they're very, very greasy. So what we'll be doing is we boil these heads once we remove all the meat and the fur. And so if you don't remove those eyes, the grease soaks into the skulls, and you'll get like what you'll see with this one. It has a little bit more of a transparent, dirty look versus the cleaner look. So once we've done that, you guys can go ahead and, as you'll see, this piece of plastic on the back basically just pops off. And so from this point, we all get to join in as big group. A little bit of kumbaya, hold hands, sing, deer heads. I swear this is not a ritual for witches. So from this point, once we've cleaned all of this flesh off of the skulls, the next step that we would be doing is we would be boiling these deer heads. This is a pot here, special from the Good Planet. And so essentially all you would be doing is you would be dropping your skull into the bucket along with a box of baking soda and 2 to 5 drops of Dawn dish soap or Ajax. Depends on personal preferences, I assume. So if you guys want to simulate that on your own, or you can set your desk, it's up to you. I think you get the point. Once we've done that, we're going to boil these deer heads for an hour. And so once they boil for an hour, we're going to remove the deer heads, and this part I'm going to make you guys do because it's going to be fun. We would remove the deer heads, and this is now a bucket full of hot, soapy water. So you're going to want to, most likely if you've got like a deep sink somewhere and like where your laundry room is, the water that gets extremely hot, we would fill this bucket with water and lots of soap, and you're going to want to wear elbow gloves so that you can submerge your hands in this hot water. And what you would be doing, Scared's going to do now, is you're going to submerge this skull into the water. This pipe pump, this is a compressed air hose. And so what you do is essentially you're going to reach down in and you're going to essentially blow as much of this stuff off, and it's called air boiling. You're going to insert that into the back of the skull. If you look here, you can see where their brainstem goes into the back of the skull. And so you're going to put that nozzle in there and blow all of that stuff out. And that's going to remove a ton of this meat. And then from there, it's going to go back into the boiling water for 30 more minutes. And once it's done boiling, you pull it out and you'll repeat the air boiling process like we just did. And from that point, the majority of everything's off. It's really just a matter of kind of taking your hands and cleaning the bones off a little bit. It would be just like if you were taking a brisket out of the oven and getting all the meat off the bone. At that point, what we would be doing is taking a bleaching substance, which I decided to use the sugar as the baking soda and the bleaching substance because the bleach is A, very powerful, and B, extremely expensive. It's the same stuff that all you ladies most likely have used to get your hair done at a professional salon. It's only available through salon supply stores. And what we would do is we're going to mix that stuff up and we're going to apply that to the skulls. Once that's applied to the skulls, you're going to wrap it in saran wrap, and then you're going to apply heat with a hairdryer. Just like when you see the old ladies sit under the hoods at the hair salon, that heat is going to activate this bleach, and it's going to bring the skull out to this nice, pretty white color that we have here, because otherwise it'll turn out looking like, if you look at this skull right here on the back side, see how yellow and kind of gross that looks? That's what your entire skull would look like. And so that's how we get all these teeth nice and white, all that stuff. And at that point, it's just a matter of you rinse that bleaching substance off, and then you let them dry, and then from there you're done. the way that this is kind of connected to what I do is a wildlife conservation major, so this is really cool stuff for me, I think. And it's a pretty decent business. I make anywhere between 150 and 175 a deer head, and as I told you guys, I think I did around 19 this past semester, or this past hunting season. So it's a pretty decent chunk of money, and I can get anywhere between 4 and 5 done in a day. So, so as I said, repeat the steps. Essentially, all you're doing is you're going to remove all of that meat, all that fur, boil 1 hour, air boil, boil for 30 more minutes, air boil, and bleach. So that's my presentation. That's all I got. Thanks, Blair. When was the last time somebody in bow tie and suspenders told you guys about deer skulls?